gentlemen, good afternoon, or rather good evening. I started my career in real estate something like about 28 years ago, and I was just talking to many of the colleagues here, and we were saying that 20 over years ago, if you flipped 20 over years ago, the main newspaper where we advertised properties in the Klang Valley was the Malay Mail, not the Star. It was the Malay Mail. And many of the household names that rang a bell when I was still very young then were names like Reuben Properties, that probably many of you have not heard about, King's Realty and things like this. Names which no longer ring a bell today. And being a young man then, being someone who just started 28, 30 years ago, we did not have the opportunity, and we would have loved to have the opportunity of hearing from these owners of these companies on how to go about how they were so successful in the real estate world. So what has happened in the course of the last couple of years is that MIEA has managed to convince many of the senior practitioners, some of the practitioners which many of us know to have been doing very well, to generously come forward and share tips, ideas, some secrets of success. And this is the third or fourth time that we'll be doing this. Now, we have got the privilege today, and we've managed to convince three very successful real estate personalities to come on board to share with us some of their trade secrets, some of their successes. I hope they will share very generously with us. And the most important thing is, do get some take-home value. Before saying more, I'd like to invite them on stage. First, like what Amanda said, Mr. Eric Lim. Now, let me share with you a little bit about Eric. Eric, come on board. Eric is the managing director cum founder of Hartamas Real Estate. He is responsible for managing and developing 3 business opportunities in Hartamas, 3 core divisions, which is project marketing, commercial real estate, and agency services. In 2004, Hartamas ventured into exclusive project marketing of high-end condominiums with their flagship project, Saujana Central Loft, with a GDV of 350 million. As an experienced real estate player, Eric firmly believes that developing and maintaining strong client relationship, as well as networking with other business agents in the community, is the key to success. He is also a member of MIEA's Council of Management and has been a member of the Board of Valuers. He is also a board member of the Board of Valuers, Appraisers and Estate Agents Malaysia. And he's also very active, among others, in FIAPC. Okay, Mr. Eric Lim. Our next personality is Dato Leslie Lee. Leslie? Dato Leslie hails from Penang. He is the founder of New Bob Realty in Penang. His involvement in property spans over a period of about 20 years, where he was very actively involved in the real estate activities. Today, apart from being a registered agent, he's also involved in property development. Dato Leslie spends a lot of his time carrying out today charitable activities and is the national chairman of the association that looks after the welfare of people who are mentally handicap challenged. Dato Leslie is also a member of MIEA and one of the key persons who initiated the MIEA Building Fund. Today, the Institute is a proud owner of the premises, thanks to, amongst people, members like him. Dato Leslie is also now an advisor to the Minister of Health in the area as a National Mental Health Advisory Council member. He is also a president of the Penang Animal Sanctuary Society, patron Penang Tennis Association, patron of Penang Association of Rail Auctioneers, and he is also a fellow of the Malaysian Institute of Estate Agents, and he is also instrumental and is the franchise holder for Era Realty in Malaysia. Dato Leslie Lee. Our last personality, not the least, is Mr. Gerard Pereira. Gerard? Gerard is the managing director and major shareholder of Syarikat Perumahan Sunshine. He has been in practice for the past 25 years and been involved in various aspects of real estate business. He has been involved in some very, very significant sales, among others the piece of land in Mont Kiara which presently houses Kiara Hills, as well as, among others, the site which is now Commerce Leisure Square in Sunway, and also was involved in the sale of the building which eventually became Cornea Insurance today. He is also very active in property development and presently does development projects, bungalow projects in and around the Klang Valley. Okay. Now, I'm short-sighted. That's the problem with this. I had a rather interesting short discussion with one of the members yesterday, and he was saying that there's a lot of us who do well. There's also some of us who struggle a little bit, and there's also a lot of new real estate people who would appreciate some help. And then the gentleman went on to say that maybe there is an opportunity for someone to set up an organization which will help give some technical expertise to some of these agencies. And my reply to the person was, look, from my little experience, sometimes when we want to help, we can only help so much. The recipient has got to want to be helped. There's only so much we can do. The reason I say that is because you are going to get the opportunity to learn a lot from these three gentlemen up here. Have a very, very open mind. Try to grasp as much as possible. We have a little bit of time, and at the end of some of the questions that I've prepared for them, we will allow some Q&A, so that do prepare your questions. To kickstart the event, I've actually prepared a couple of questions because as an appetizer to get the whole thing moving. And the first thing that I've prepared here is to ask the gentleman up here, within 4 minutes, okay, I'll give each one 4 minutes, tell us a little bit about your educational life, youth life, earlier career experiences, and what actually eventually made you go into real estate. To kickstart, would Eric, you want to start?
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. Well, I think before I start, I think I can say that I come to the real estate practice by accident. Well, before I came to real estate, I was actually in many others disciplines. I was in the publishing line when I graduated in 1983. I was there for about 8 years. During the line, in fact, I met Stephen and some other players. I bought properties from them. I was in charge of a few portfolio. My ex-boss was really who squeezed you, handling 4 or 5 portfolio from finance to warehousing, security, sourcing, investment, everything. That's where I learned. And during that stage where I signed, we bought some property and we exposed to those people, like real estate people, and see the beauty, the attractive of these properties. That's how I started to enroll and take courses, doing part-time studies. I think there's a very limited, we call institute offering courses. So I got some notes from some past students, and I went through the courses and pretty quite easy. During that time was a lot ABCD, how you punch in through. And I passed, but I never practiced. I never went through the next part. Somehow I was wondering whether should I go to properties or others, and stock market is one of the other attraction. So in 1991, I went into financial lines. I joined TA Securities. I became a romancier, and it was quite struggling initially. And the first 2 years was very tough. We had to put deposit in, and that's how TA, the lady boss, works. When you put deposit in, you make money. You make 1 month 5,000 commission. they deduct your commission straight away, nothing for you. So how to survive when you have kids and family to take care for? So, well, that's how they make you to accumulate your deposit and the number of times you can trade. So when 1993 came, it was a boom, and well, you make millions over a single year. But that is a pitfall also. When you see the market, you set a trade, you invest for client, you also dabble in the market. And that's 94-84 market crash. So, well, you make millions, your millions are gone. All right. So, well, there's few cycle from 1993, the bull run. The next cycle was 98, and came to when it came to 96, market was tough again. And well, when we have a lunch hour, 2-3 hours, I was wondering what am I doing. Over lunch, I was driving aimlessly in town. So I said, well, stock market is bad. I mean, when markets are good, you can't trade much because you tie down your deposit. And that's how I go to when I drive around town, I see a lot of properties. So I said, well, in the X company, when I bought properties, property appreciate. Right. So that's why I joined to this real estate. And when I got my license in 1996, I started Hartamas Real Estate. And we started in a small office in KL, about 400-500 square feet. My wife was with me. And it was very tough, cold. We don't hardly receive calls. And where we pushed hard, and thereafter we moved to a bigger office in PJ. We were still in 1998 market crash. So somehow we had to rely on the savings, and it was in the rate. And well, it's a hard way to push through, and the rest I'll say is history.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Dato, would you like to take the next session?
Okay, selamat petang, salam sejahtera. President Nixon of MIEA, Organizing Chairman Mr. Siva, and ladies and gentlemen, just about 9-10 days ago, President Nixon gave me a call and says, you liked me. I say, okay, there's nothing much for me to shout about. But in any case, I could say that over the last 2-3 years, the market has been good. And I guess with the tips that the earlier speaker mentioned about how to achieve success, and with a good market, everyone should be making good money. Is there anyone who is not making good money over the last 2-3 years? Is there anyone? So everybody is making good money. So really, market, with a good market, it is one of the conducive factor. And there are, regarding as far as my sharing of what I have gone through, I make up a few notes from what Stephen has asked me to speak about. Basically, I'll share with you about in terms of my life journey. Where did I come from? What I have been through, where am I now? Where am I going? What do I want in life? So I came from a poverty-stricken family. So where there's not enough food, you stay in a wooden house, there's not enough to eat, and I came from a large family of 10, and I happen to be the number 10, the last shot. By right, I shouldn't be here, by normal standard. So born during the baby boom, where there's no entertainment, and so there I came. So I remember very clearly what my parents used to say during those times. The parents can take care of 10 children, but 10 children cannot take care of 2 parents. So that thing has been deeply struck in my mind from the young days. Then what I could see is that the issues are that my siblings, they all had low education. That is one factor. And they are hardworking, but they are in the firewood business. which is another factor which tells me that it is in the wrong trade. So I see that basically to be in the right trade is very important. You can be very hardworking, but if you are in the wrong trade, you can work very, very hard. And I would like to share with you all that you are here, you are definitely in the right trade. Yeah, and so in terms of thereafter, I realized that, you know, I see that those people who are successful in the, those successful people are people who are involved in real estate. Right from those days when I was young, I see, all those multi-millionaire or multi-billionaire, they are the one that is involved in real estate. Why real estate? Because real estate is a basic necessity that is required by people. It is a basic shelter that everybody will die and struggle for or fight for in order to have the shelter. It's a basic necessity, similarly to like food that you need to have. So it is fixed because there's limited land, population is increasing. So the value, the other thing is that since time immemorial, if you look back, although you may have property crash and then you have good times like this, but overall the trend is up and up and up. So something like, for example, in my experience where I find, like in a place like Jerseton, Pulau Tikus, I look back from the past transaction, 1 ringgit per square foot that is transacted in 64, 65 is now being transacted for $500 over per square foot. So it just tells us something. If you are prepared for the long haul, you won't be wrong. Don't overgear yourself. That is the main thing. Okay. You would like to hear more, or I have actually,
It's okay.
Okay. Okay. So basically, the other thing is like what I've said, what must I do? You have to work hard. So those days when I started, there is like 24/7 or 7/11. So you basically have the time to sleep. So at that point in time, my girlfriend then, which later on became my wife, we thought we better sleep in the office. We don't have to go back home, because you go back home, you spend the time on the journey, and then you return back. The first thing you wake up, you might as well sleep at the office itself. Then the other thing is that failure is not an option, because born into the poor family. So you have to do your best. And one of the things which I have learned is that whatever things you do your level best. Is better that you try your best and fail than fail to try. So then financial integrity from day one. Financial integrity to win the trust of your client is very, very important factor. As well as your bankers, you need your bankers to support you. So the credibility as well as your integrity. And be a leader, not a follower. Be a thinker. So pursuit for knowledge from the lack of education and knowledge which my family members have been through has told me that that pursuit of knowledge is important, and that is exactly why you guys are down here this afternoon. Always pursue to better yourself, to gain more knowledge. Be creative and proactive, dare to try and dare to fail. So be prudent, be result-orientated, and from my background, I started off at the age of 10 years old, chopping firewood, earning about 10 cents per hour, and just be able to exchange as a young boy for earning 10, 20 cents for working 2 hours for a plate of char kway teow at that point in time. So the good planning and monitoring is important. Actually, part of my subsequent career took me to as a navigator on board the ship. So the ship doesn't reach its destination by accident. So as a navigating officer, before the ship sets sail, everything is being prepared for. And along the journey, we monitor, we take position to ensure that we are on course. We are not like a dead wood that are subject to the weathers, the extremes of weather, and be drifted around in any direction. So if we are off course, then we have to take cognizance of it and then get back to course, do necessary remedial rectification, like what the previous speaker say, must have flexibility with the goal and the objective in mind. Anticipate worst case scenarios so that we can be better prepared and not be caught off guard or by surprise. And of course, one of the other very important factor, get the right partner, get the right girl to become your wife. And I must attribute in whether it's a lady or guy, that is a very important factor. In my case, during the part of my pursuit in my career, my wife is none other than supportive, because just imagine if you have a partner that is not supportive and give you issues. So you have to put your time and resources in resolving the issues at home. Then where is your time to address the business issue? So I think, well, there may be a few other things that I would like to share with you all, but I'll let the next speaker share with you some of his experience.
Thank you, Leslie. Some of the things that you're going to share, you'll probably be covered in the next couple of questions. We'll have Gerard to share with us your early experiences, Gerard.
Guys, good evening. I'm not as lucky as all these guys. You know, I failed my Form 5. I had no choice, but the only available job those days was join a real estate company, because you didn't need any qualifications. So I went and joined a real estate company as a driver, negotiator, you name it, la, post office boy, anything la, go to a bank, I did everything la. For about 3 years I was there, and at the age of 22 I came out and set up my own business, and never looked back after that. Basically in real estate all my life.
Thank you very much, Gerard. So how long have you been in practice, Gerard?
Some 30 years now.
So now he's 52 years old. You got it right. He started 22. Okay, just to deviate a little bit, MIEA, I think Leslie was a past deputy president of the association before, and I remember something like about 10 years ago, we did have the opportunity, of course from time to time we have council meetings out of KL, and I remember 1 or 2 council meetings are in Penang, and of course everybody loves to go to Penang. When there's a council meeting in Penang, you get full attendance. So Penang is that wonderful place. And one of the things that amazed me, of course I've not had the privilege of visiting Gerard's office or Eric's office, but I did go to Leslie's office. But what struck me and really impressed me then was it did not look like a real estate office. It looked like a financial organization. There was all these pretty ladies in jackets, everybody had a attire, nice jackets, and everybody had a computer screen. It looked like a bank, it didn't look like a real estate firm. Very, very different method of setup, and it was very, very impressive. The next question that I've got for the speakers here, now do write your questions, because after I finish a few of these, I'm sure some of you will have things bubbling in your heart that you want to ask. You'll have the opportunity to do that. The next question that I've prepared for the speakers is that, what do you attribute as, amongst others, the keys to your success? Was it, for example, hard work, luck? Was it because you had a good mentor? What actually is your secret to success? Eric, you want to start off?
Well, I think everybody knows, I think there's no other trade secret, but I think it's the hard work and the focus on your trade. Besides that, I think it's your leadership. I think when you run a real estate, to mine perception or mind thinking, I think when you run real estate, I think we should not should manage, rather we on the ground compete with the negotiators and the sales people. We're supposed to get deals, get jobs, and show them the leadership. And I think when they have, you should stay in office and give the guidance. They are here when they're back to share your success, your deals, the frustration. You should be in office to I call be with them. And I think to me, I think leadership is one of the key success.
Thank you, Eric. Dato?
Yeah, the key to success, like what I've mentioned earlier, I've covered a number of the points that has been mentioned earlier. And basically, the attitude determines the altitude. And the success, the choice is always in your hands. It's up to you. And in terms of myself, when I first started off, how I wish I have somebody to guide me. But in retrospect, reflection, I was so lucky. Because when I want to look back to see there's somebody to guide me through, there's nobody. So I have learned one thing. Depend upon yourself. Yourself will never let you down. Be a thinker, think. Anticipate issues, manage issues, yeah. Then monitor, get the right generals to help you to be successful, and be creative. I mean, some of those things like, and of course, I have to pursue my wife to accompany me down here. And just now in meeting one of my old friend, they say, where are your 2 daughters? That is a challenge immediately ahead of me because I had one and he has just told my wife the secret that there is maybe another one. I am in hot soup. So basically, the world is always very fair. From my experience, the world gives the opportunity for poor people like me to become not poor. So similarly, the world also gives opportunity for rich people. If they take life for granted, then one day their fortune may be taken away from them. So, in fact, this is, basically having a happy, progressive colleagues working in the office, and like what has been mentioned by Eric, setting yourself as an example. When you ask the people to work hard, when you ask the people to do the thing, walk the talk, don't just, no action and talk only. Because if you are leading an organization to a progressive, successful path, you have to set the example. You say work hard and you don't work hard, it's very hard to get the workers or the employees to follow you. And just like what Gerard has mentioned, I mean, for myself, what I've gone through in terms of my career, other than chopping firewood, earning 10 cents at the age of 10, and then earning $30 at the age of 15 part-time as a dispatch boy. And I worked as a croupier in between after Form 5 at Genting Highlands while waiting for the result. And then that's where I got the opportunity to have the sponsorship to go to Hong Kong Polytechnic to pursue a navigating officer course. And I came across this real estate by accident, because somebody is going to give up this real estate field. I say, well, it can't be wrong. I will take it up. And against all odds from every of my family member, they say, no, 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 no. Because when I was in the navigational career at that point in time, 1975, so 1975 until now, I would have been in this real estate for 37 years. So in 1975, when this opportunity came around, I say yes, 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 yes. I decided for myself. And I can understand why my family members were saying no, because at that point in time, I was earning good income as a second navigating officer, earning about $3,000 a month. And that is net because everything is provided. On board a ship, you don't pay for lodging, you don't pay for food. And as a result of which, my poverty-stricken family, their fortune has begun to change with 50% of my income to help my families. And I told people during my 4 or 5 years at sea, when my fellow officers go on board and they go to clubs or nightclubs or enjoy themselves, I cannot take myself upon to enjoy myself with them. Because for the money that they spend, I say that my family at home require them rather more needy than my just a short time of enjoyment to go to the clubs with the officers. I'm not antisocial, but my conscience would not let me do that. So basically, in terms of as a croupier, then later on I took this course in Hong Kong, and that's where I started on the navigational career, and then I came into the real estate. I say, oh, this is what I thought from very young, that you have to be in the right trade. And definitely, real estate is the right trade. It's all up to you. The choice is in your hands. What you will do to determine your success or failure is up to you. There are factors that definitely will determine success. There are factors that will also determine failure. Factors like, if you do the opposite of what we have mentioned over here, of course, that will not be conducive for success. Thanks.
Thank you, Dato. Gerard?
For me, it's a bit different. I actually love my work, you know. And if you love something, you will do a lot. You will learn. I didn't know anything about real estate, so I learned. I learned from, you know, fellow real estate agents, from engineers, architects, lawyers. I learned everything, you know. And you must be prepared to learn. Every day I wake up in the morning, even today, you get up, are you going to learn anything? If you give that up, then don't bother getting into real estate. Every day you wake up, you learn. The other main thing which I think a lot of people here must do is deliver. What you say, you deliver. You want to be a success, you deliver. Don't care whether it's morning, night, afternoon, grandfather, grandmother. Even on Christmas Day, if you have to deliver, you deliver. You know, a lot of people fail to deliver, and they lose a lot of business that way. You know, deliver what you say. If you can't, tell them, sorry, I can't deliver. Please find somebody else. Don't keep the client or anybody hanging on for, you know, God knows how long when you can't deliver. And basically, learn your business. You know, I learned the hard way. Like I said, no qualifications. Learn your business. You'll be all right. Don't worry if you make mistakes along the way. Everybody makes mistakes. It's only a little bit of face, sometimes some money. That's all. Don't worry about it. And the thrill of closing the deal is important. You know, whether you make $2 or 2 million, it is still you did the deal. You can go out there and say, I did the deal. It is not the money. It is the pleasure of closing the deal. More important than anything else.
So you heard that money is the byproduct, huh? It's the chase, huh? Just like dating, correct? It's the chase. The other thing that Gerard said, which I fully concur, is the subject matter of learning. If you ask experienced agents, they will always tell you that, yeah, you can be in practice for 10, 15 years. You will still find that you're making mistakes. The only difference is that in year 1 of your practice, you make 100 mistakes. In year 2, you make 90. In year 3, as you go. Even after 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years, you will find that you are still learning. You are still making mistakes. The only thing is you are making less mistakes, and your success rate of closing deal goes up. So it's a never-ending learning process. And of course, nowadays with the internet world, the learning process is even much more fantastic. You got to jump onto the bandwagon. Now, the next question that I wanted to ask speakers was, what do you see as the causes? I presume that in our crowd here, we have got people who have been in practice for 20, 30 years. There are some of you who have been in practice for 5 to 10 years. There are some of you who are negotiators, some of you who have just set up your own company. So one of the questions I wanted to ask the speakers was, what do you see as the causes? Why many realtors and negotiators do not succeed? What sets those successful people apart from those that struggle to make it? Eric?
Well, I'm trying to posting on these questions while seeing those successful business and those who are still trying harder. But I think the way I see it, I think is why those who realtors, especially, there are two questions here, realtors and negotiators. The way I see it, I think for the realtors, probably they're too busy in closing the deals and finding lesser time to focus on managing their business. So resulting probably their teams with no leadership. On the part of the negotiators, I think probably those who don't do well, probably they're less focused. And I think those who tend to associate with high commission payment, where they don't have the lack of support, and lack of guidance, and lack the credential of the company behind them.
Thank you, Eric. Dato, you want to add something?
Yeah, I have covered a number of those areas that are recipes or requisites for success. And of course, persistence is one very important factor. Don't give up when you fail. And I recollect that there is one instance that in the earlier years, we show a client for a period of 2 years, and over around about, say, 70, 80, over that period of 2 years, 70, 80 properties, and finally the client, the transaction was closed. So I can look back in terms of with joy that that the deal was finally closed. So long as you identify, the client's objective, and once you know that, every client likes to buy the best deal, and if you persist and follow them with a good rapport, they will come back to you. So do not give up. Like what I've said, do not give up trying. You can fail after trying your level best. And in my case, I would not excuse myself if I fail without trying my level best. Less so even though if I never try. And then of course, the hard work is very important. And plus a number of those prerequisites that I've mentioned earlier, those are important factors.
Gerard?
With this new telephone and all this, nowadays, estate agents no more personal. Every time you receive SMS, got property here for sale, you interested, you call me. Those days, where we SMS, we call the client, Mr. Tan, I have this good property for you, I think you should see it. We don't receive SMS, man. Emails, it's no more personal. Real estate is still a personal industry. It's an investment. People who buy, they want to be personal. They don't want to be treated with a handphone. An SMS on the phone. And half the agents out there, negotiators out there, no knowledge. You ask them to convert 1 hectare to how many acres? I don't know, I call a friend, can Cannot come with knowledge, come with facts. You ask them, let's go and see a piece of land. Okay, take them in your car. The land is there, Where? There. Hey, got 300 acres of vacant land there, friend. Which one is the land? They don't come with facts, because everybody does things on the phone, on the email, on the internet. Nobody is running around with hard copies of nice plans, nicely, nice facts. Land is like this, land is like that. Nobody comes out with facts nowadays. Every time you get 15 SMSs a day, this property damn good deal, this launch, developer price, give you discount 5%. Hey, we're not interested in all that. We are buyers, We want personal. Be personal. Go back to being personal. Don't go numbers. It's not a numbers game. Let me tell you, real estate is not a numbers game unless you're doing project work. But if you want to make money personally, it is not a numbers game. It's a one-to-one game. So that's where you should come from, one-to-one. Get your client, like he says, like Dato says, 2 years, you chase the client, show close one. You send him 200 SMS, no close.
Just to add a little bit to what Gerard said, something like about 8 to 10 years ago, the MIEA has a collaboration agreement with the National Association of Realtors in US. And as many of you will probably know, the internet market started like 10, 11, 12 years ago. If you attended the American seminar 10 years back, 12 years back, there was a lot of worry about how the internet will affect our business, whether we will actually survive and see tomorrow, or will the internet take over the entire real estate profession. It is of course now proven that it will not take over the real estate profession. I attended recently a seminar on internet marketing, and surprisingly, one of the speakers was talking about that subject matter, and he told the crowd, he says, look, if you want to create a business in internet marketing, make sure you go into a business where you don't need to get out of your chair and you can do everything online. If, on the other hand, you are not prepared to get out of your chair. So he was then citing real estate as an example. He said, you cannot do real estate on the internet. You can only draw traffic to call you. to be interested in what you have. But after they have responded, you need to get out of your chair and go out there, show the house, show the property, and get a deal done. You are not getting deals done on the internet. The internet just helps you to get leads. And I think that's the way the market seems to have gone, and it's proven, and there is still a need for people like us, okay? There is also a saying, like what Dato is saying, be very, very focused if you want to succeed in real estate. There is a quote which says, if you are thirsty, drink deep. If you want to succeed, carve deep and narrow, which basically tells you, if you want to succeed, be very, very focused on what you do. Don't try to be a jack of all trades, master of none, okay? Now, the second last question I have here is something closer to them. What was your most memorable deal? Eric, would you like to share that?
Well, I have so many, I don't know which one to refer. Well, probably I can recall one in 2004. I was pitching for a project marketing job for a high-end condominium in KL, which is valued about 350 million. There I was pitching with a few big boys, big names in the market, and we are one of the junior players. And we presented for 2 rounds, attended by the board members and top management. And after 2 rounds, we managed, and we beat the other few big players in town. Something that I think that something is sweet for us.
Thank you, Eric. Dato?
Yeah, thinking about most memorable deal, I recollect back to my second year in the real estate industry, where I closed the $1 million deal, and that was very auspicious because it makes me enjoy the New Year's Eve, and that was closed on the New Year's Eve, 31st of December, and which is also the eve of my wife's birthday. So my wife did not make a scene to say, now on the eve of my birthday, and you still came late. That is basically very important, understanding partner. Business, we are going to change our status from being poor, so it is working hard, thinking hard, dreaming hard. When you wake up, you think business. You have lunch, you also think business. And now, like what you say, multitasking. Even when you're meeting with friends, there's multitasking. But just to share with you, multitasking is bad for the human mind because you may go haywire. And honestly, I have experienced that, where friends of mine were just telling, hey, are you still here? Is your mind still here? And this is where I have the benefit of what I've seen, what happened to my brother's life who suffered mental illness, and how his life has been destroyed, and to see, the important role that I'm playing for the well-being of the family. I say I cannot afford to be another mental case in our family. So then I decided that I must not subject my mind too excessively, lest I suffer mental illness. So then the other deal which is most memorable was when I closed the deal at 4 a.m. in the morning. And to close at 4 a.m. in the morning with an ex-minister, and the ex-minister is Dato Kat. So closing with him with 3 lawyers for a $25 million deal in 1993. That was very special, and we say, okay, Dato Kok, he stays at Shangri-La in Penang, which is now called Traders Hotel. I pick him back and says, well, we myself sort of chat a while, and then we can have breakfast in the hotel. So those are very memorable moments, and in the presence of the Dutch negotiator that were bank tables, and then with 3 lawyers in attendance. The thing is that you want the deal to be closed. And of course, in our role, we have to be as conducive a facilitator as possible. The other side could shout at each other. The other side could be calling names at each other. When they are going to do that, you separate them into separate rooms. They can shout whatever. You go back to the other party. You don't be a parrot. You have to, not that you don't repeat things that will antagonize the other party, that will disrupt the sale, because you remember, you are there as a facilitator to close a sale. So that is a very special, memorable moment for me in closing sort of a high deal of $25 million. And getting an ex-minister, meeting the ex-minister, and he is the legal advisor because Dato Wiket is a lawyer. On top of him, he brings 2 other lawyers, and that is a deal that was closed for Macro in Seberang Perai way back in 1993, and now Macro has sold that same property to Tesco. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato. Gerard?
Since you brought up Commercial Leisure Square, actually that's a funny deal. I also concluded that on Christmas Day with Tan Sri Loy in Equatorial, his favorite hotel, you know, and it was actually Christmas Day, and I was celebrating with my family, and he calls me and says, Gerard, just come and bring your girlfriend. I said, okay, Tan Sri. And we did the deal there, and signed it in January the following year. And 6 months later, we were supposed to give possession. We had 60 squatters staying in the house, and it was 1 week for possession. And then the vendors called me and said, Gerard, you know, we can't clear the squatters. Can you do something? I said, get $1.5 million ready. And they actually got $1.5 million ready. And we went and paid off all the squatters and removed them within 1 day. Paid them 30,000, 25,000, 30,000, and we removed them within 1 day and gave possession within a week. And I sat on the design team of that building, and after designing the building, I managed to sell the tower block to Kunia Insurance for 85 million.
Congratulations. I'm sure all of you know West Leisure Square. Tan Sri Loy is the late founder of MBF Group, which was the developer of Leisure Square. The last question I have, so after this, please, you know, I hope you all have prepared some questions. Like I said, get some value when you've got 3 people who have kindly agreed to donate some good answers for you. The last question I have here, if you live life all over again, what would you do differently in your real estate career? Here I presume that the 3 gentlemen will want to be in real estate, okay? So if you live life all over again, what would you do differently? Eric?
Well, I'm happy what I'm doing. I enjoy. It's a lucrative trade. If I wish I can do it, I think I would do it earlier, rather go through merry-go-round, doing other jobs, other works. Besides, doing earlier in the financial, in the other publishing trade. So I wish if I can, I would able to indulge in the early stage.
So Eric basically is saying that he would have jumped into real estate much earlier than what he has done in this life. So that's good for all of us. That's good news for all of us. A hand for Eric, please. What about you, Leslie?
Well, like what I've mentioned before, looking back of what I thought when I was young, that real estate is the career that really makes people rich, especially when you're poor. You say, how do I get rich? And you see those people involved in real estate are the rich people. Of course, safe and aside right now, intellectual creation is also one area, like you see Bill Gates, for example. And the bottom line is that you do something that the masses require. That is required by the masses. So that is the bottom line, where masses require, because when it's required by masses or in terms of high value, then you will have that margin. So then a few that I met over here, you say, is it true that you have taken the back seat as an advisor in the company? And you say, is your son, being a medical doctor now, has come into the real estate to run the business for you? I say, yes. So I think that also answers for itself. My son sort of see that real estate is a challenging career, notwithstanding that he is a medical doctor. And he came into the real estate, and I says, well, if you want the challenge, it's all up to you. The trade is there. So that's where he came in. And well, like what I've mentioned, may all of you be similarly blessed in this field as well.
Thank you, Dato. Gerard?
I probably won't change very much, except party a bit more, but invest a lot more in real estate at a younger age. invest a lot more money, because definitely you can retire very, very much more earlier. You make a lot of money. That's the way to go.
Thanks, Gerard. But if all of us invest earlier, you would have less opportunity. All of us will be fighting with you. Okay, we'll open for Q&A. Just quickly, if you have some burning questions. Anyone from the floor? Yes. Enfu, huh?
Hi, I think it's wrong. This question can direct to anyone. Two questions. Please advise me on branding company. The reason is because I had an opportunity to go overseas to attend this American real estate convention way back in 1990. I was very impressed with the professionalism and the image. I think there's a lot of room, in our real estate industry to improve in this area. But it's the how. If I may be specific, for example, let's say I've seen real estate company. I'm a negotiator, right? Having an office in a place that is not presentable. I just hope to see that in future, there will be very nice building like Dato Leslie kind of office, It is so respectable for our industry. Can I go for a second question? Please advise me on how to make a top, this is a healthy problem, a top producer or sales negotiator be consistent in the performance throughout. What I say is, for those who are struggling, and I think it's not addressing to that, I've seen top producers who make millions in their commission, but they are like, I can rest for the rest, I can, stop for the rest of the year, I don't have to worry about it. How are you going to make this person, go on and make another million commission? I want to know that.
I take a second question.
Okay, take first question.
I take the second question first. I take your second question first. You can't do very much lah. If you can only take the horse to water, you can't make it drink. So if the guy wants to be complacent or the girl wants to be complacent, you can't do very much. But of course, you can talk to them or educate them or network with them. Basically, it's networking lah. Bring them out, do the necessary. You have to, like, I have people like what you said in my office. They close one deal and then they are partying for 3 months. They are everywhere else except the office, chasing some sweet young thing somewhere. It happens. It's just whether they want to do it. These are the not so yet to be successful people. If you are successful, the next day you want to come and do something double the commission. You want to do something bigger. You have already done that small deal. You want the higher ones. So it's basically personal. You can't do very much. And
yeah, maybe I interject that also. Basically, it is like what Gerard has mentioned, is personal, depending upon the person's needs, the person's determination, how far he want to go. But one thing that is I recognize that is right now over here is compared to, say, our senior citizen stage, where I have where we are working more than 8 hours a day, and the staff around generally will have to follow the leader in working likewise more than 8 hours a day. Generally, because the people of the current generation, they come from better off family. Poverty is almost now a thing of the past. The percentage has been drastically reduced. So that to support, let's say, family members financially is no longer there. So as a result of which, what they need is just to take care of themselves. They don't need to contribute money to their family members. So that drive is definitely very much substantially reduced. So very individually based upon to the needs of the individual. And currently, I could see that it is very much, that drive to achieve more is very, very much lower right now.
Eric?
Okay, I think the question branding. I think branding can come in many forms. I think from the start, when you start a firm, I think they're very important. I think even the names are very important. The form, the names, how you call it, how easy to remember, to recall, for people to easy to recall. And I think the other part, I think, is prepared to spend money, probably have a good office in good locations, and even spend money for advertising, or even a website, and well, have good allocation of your resources or your budget to what call. I mean, when you make money, well, put aside of certain sums as part of your promotion and publicity.
Thank you, Eric. We have one last question, eh? Okay. Then go first.
Thank you. To the gentleman up there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
What are the areas should all the new real estate firm heading towards, since most of the new real estate firms are not doing so well because we are paying our partners more profit sharing? So because like new agent, we used to pay our agents 40%. Now we are paying higher than that. So for new agency, what should we do? What are the areas should go in? Since,
Okay. Fees. Now you're paying 40%, is that right?
No. Forget about the percentage. What I'm saying is, which area should we focus now instead of just doing conventional real estates?
Which areas you want to focus? You asking us what advice we can give you on which areas you can focus, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Within the real estate segments, correct? Robert, yeah.
Okay. One very good area you all can do is land deals. Land deals, you all make a lot of money, which is very, very profitable. And it's negotiators, I'm sorry to tell you this, but negotiators very, very seldom can do big land deals. It's principals. If the principals concentrate on big deals and let the negotiators go down to do the other deals. So you focus more on the bigger clients and the bigger networking. And the negotiators do the day-to-day bread and butter kind of stuff, the rentals and the sales of maybe under 2 million, under 3 million, where the principals, then you don't have to share your commission, it's 100% yours, right?
Does that answer your question, Robert?
No, because I think so. Most of us are suffering because of, like your case is you are doing a land deal which you do yourself. Then if this way I don't need to have my license, I do myself. I'm just trying to get an appointment because you have been running real estate firm for some time. How do we profit from running a real estate firm?
Running a big firm.
Can I add something?
Yeah, okay, Eric.
Probably, I think most of the players here, are focusing on secondary market, either selling or leasing. Probably you can look another area to diversify your portfolio into more areas where you require less attention from negotiators. Where I think when you are doing the secondary market, you're paying, they start to demand higher commission, and your stake are smaller. But if you do something, for example, other sectors, I think probably that give you a better bargain, and you call the shot. Okay,
the gentleman, state your name.
Okay, I'm Gordon Sack. I'd like to know about your success. I've been listening 2 days of possible and impossible. But looking at the market, which is going to liberalize and globalization, and particularly I think franchising is one way out if you really want to go big. And how would you feel, especially Dato, you said you just acquired one American franchise. How would you see that it will go into Malaysia? But I feel this is the only way if you're going to go big. Otherwise, the other country is coming in. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Okay,
Yeah, being in the real estate industry,
2 minutes, then we'll wrap up. Okay.
Okay, being in the real estate industry, way back when I first joined in 1975, a few years later, I decided that, I would not want to reinvent the wheel. I might as well get the franchise from the developed countries. And I personally wrote into Century 21 Realty. Unfortunately, at that point in time, this was in the early 80s, their reply was that Malaysia is not on their expansion plan. So, I mean, basically is, if you want to grow and you want to grow fast, it's better than to learn through the failures. I mean, it's better to learn from the experience of others. You pay a fee. Just now you say branding is there, the system is there, and the technology is there. So immediately you have a head start. So in terms of, you'll give you the cutting edge and the advantage, just like, for example, you want to go to a food, then you say McDonald's. A certain standard is already accepted when you go to McDonald's, certain sort of standard of the quality of the food, of services, or Kentucky Fried Chicken. So similarly, an established organization like that will give you the cutting edge, but of course you need to pay a fees up front, and you got to make sure that you put your heart and soul into it to ensure it works, because those franchisor will also ensure that they are not going to give to a franchisee that is not going to put their head and soul into it, because a failure would reflect badly on the branding of the organization. Thanks.
Okay.
Last question.
Yeah, okay. Since it's a lady, okay? Last question.
I'd like to ask a question too.
Mr. Stephen and
Yes.
panel speaker, my name is Jeannie Wong. My question is that I would like to seek your opinion on the multiple listing that, like the USA and Canada, they are so, what do you call that? They're so established and working very well. Why is it that our Malaysia market, Malaysia industry in real estate is not possible until now, today? And also I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Stephen, who passed me in the interview because I was bombarded by the 3 valuer for my first interview. I tell myself, if my second interview, if I don't pass, I give up on real estate. So thank you.
The board's objective is to pass people for exams, not to fail people for exams. So we'll always try our best to pass our candidates for exam. Okay? So you don't want illegal people around.
Congratulations on passing. You want to take?
So Leslie, you want to take that question? MLM? Anybody wants to take MLM?
Well, basically, I think, Malaysians, they don't like to share. So what do you want to do? You have multiple listings. First thing they will do is try and find out who the owner is, and they want to go at the back. But this is true. You call them, hey, I got this house for sale. Half the agent won't even give you the address. Because you give them the address, zap, they will go to the house there, ask the neighbor, hey, who the owner? Hey, you know the owner? Everybody wants to get the listing. They don't trust one another. In America and all this, very easy. It's listed on the net, it's already mine. Here, cannot lah. Everybody is trying to undercut the other person. So how? Even you sign documents, sole agent, this, that, don't worry, can handle, don't worry.
I guess just to add a little bit, one of the biggest problems we have here is the way we practice. In the foreign countries, most of the listings are, almost all the listings are either exclusive agency or joint sole agencies. In Malaysia, I think pre-1984-85 recession, there was a lot of exclusive agencies and all this. But in the 1988 recession, of course, when a lot of companies come under pressure and individuals come under pressure, where you need to sell, if not the banks are going to foreclose on you, you find that, and in a recessionary market, you find it's very difficult to unload. Eventually, you give up, you give this agent 3 months, you give that agent 3 months, you still don't get it performed. At the end of the day, it becomes a free-for-all. And I noticed that pre-1987, thereabout, there was a lot of sole and exclusive agencies. Post the recession period, it has become free-for-all, and we have never been able to turn the practice the other way around. So it's like, it's like what I was telling our tax consultant just now. The Western world, the taxation goes more and more expensive. When you keep on giving, the taxes keep on going up, it's very hard to unwind back. So when he was asking, oh, how does it work? I said, that's why I'm in Asia. We are not interested to be in the Western world because the taxes are so very high. So you got to thank yourself that you are in this part of the world. But one fine day, we are going to slowly move towards that. And when that happens, you know, and it's all politics. Okay, if there's no more questions, I think we should wrap up. It's already 5:35, 5:40. Let's give a very big hand of applause to the three gentlemen up here.